The Bible in a year, day 69, Deuteronomy 22 through 24. You shall not see your neighbor's ox or sheep going astray and ignore it. You must bring it back. If this neighbor does not live near you, or you do not know who the owner may be, take it to your own house and keep it with you until your neighbor claims it, then return it. You shall do the same with a donkey. You shall do the same with a garment. You shall do the same with anything else which your neighbor loses, and you happen to find it. You may not ignore them. You shall not see your neighbor's donkey or ox fallen on the road and ignore it. You must help it in lifting it up. A woman shall not wear a man's garment, nor shall a man put on woman's clothing, for anyone who does such a thing is an abomination to the Lord your God. If while walking along you come across a bird's nest with young birds or eggs in it, any tree on the ground, and the mother bird is sitting on them, you shall not take away the mother bird along with her brood. You must let the mother go, taking only her brood, in order that you shall prosper and have a long life. When you build a new house, put a parapet along the roof, so that you do not bring blood guilt on your house if someone falls off. You shall not sow your vineyard with two different kinds of seed, or else its produce shall become forfeit. Both the crop you shall sow and yield of the vineyard. You shall not plow with an ox and a donkey harnessed together. You shall not wear cloth made from wool and linen woven together. You shall put tassels on the four corners of your cloak that you wrap around yourself. If a man, after marrying a woman and having relations with her, comes to dislike her and accuses her of misconduct and slanders her by saying, I married this woman, but when I approached her, I did not find evidence of her virginity, the father and mother of the young woman shall take the evidence of her virginity and bring it to the elders at the city gate. There the father of the young woman shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man in marriage, but he has come to dislike her, and now accuses her of misconduct, saying, I did not find evidence of your daughter's virginity, but here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread out the cloth before the elders of the city. These the city elders shall take the man and discipline him. Then the city elders shall take the man and discipline him, and fine him 100 silver shekels, which they shall give to the young woman's father, because the man slandered a virgin in Israel. She shall remain his wife, and he may not divorce her as long as he lives. But if the charge is true, and evidence of the young woman's virginity is not found, they shall bring the young woman to the entrance of her father's house, and there the men of the town shall stone her to death, because she committed a shameful crime in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. Thus shall you purge the evil in your midst. If a man is discovered lying with a woman who is married to another, they both shall die, the man who was lying with the woman as well as the woman. Thus shall you purge the evil from Israel. If there is a young woman, a virgin, who is betrothed, and a man comes upon her in the city and lies with her, you shall bring them both out to the gate of the city, and then there stone them to death, the young woman because she did not cry out when she was in the city, and the man because he violated his neighbor's wife. Thus shall you purge the evil from your midst. But if it is in the open fields, then the man comes upon the betrothed young woman, seizes her, and lies with her. Only the man who lay with her shall die. You shall do nothing to the young woman, since the young woman is not guilty of a capital offense. As when a man rises up against his neighbor and murders him, so in this case it was in the open fields that he came upon her, and though the betrothed young woman may have cried out, there was no one to save her. If a man comes upon a young woman, a virgin, who is not betrothed, seizes her and lies with her, and they are discovered, the man laying with her shall give the young woman's father 50 silver shekels, and she will be his wife, because he has violated her. He may not divorce her as long as he lives. A man shall not marry his father's wife, nor shall he dishonor his father's bed. No one whose testicles have been crushed or whose penis may have been cut off may come into the assembly of the Lord. No one born of an illicit union may come into the assembly of the Lord, nor any descendant of such even to the 10th generation may come into the assembly of the Lord. No Amorite or Moabite may come into the assembly of the Lord, nor may any of their descendants, even to the 10th generation, come into the assembly of the Lord, because they would not come to meet you with food and water on your journey after you left Egypt, and because they hired Balaam son of Beor from Pethor in Arma Naharim to curse you. The Lord your God would not listen to Balaam, but turned his curse into a blessing for you, because the Lord your God loves you. Neither seek their welfare or prosperity as long as you live. Do not abhor the Edomite. He is your brother. Do not abhor the Egyptian. You were a resident alien in his country. Children born to them may come into the assembly of the Lord in the 3rd generation. When in camp during an execution against your enemies, you shall keep yourselves from anything bad. If one of you becomes unclean because a nocturnal emission, he shall go outside the camp. He shall not come back into the camp toward evening. He shall bathe in water. Then, when the sun has set, he may come back into the camp. Outside the camp, you shall have a place set aside where you shall go. You shall keep a towel in your equipment, and when you go outside to relieve yourself, you shall dig a hole with it and then cover up your excrement. Since the Lord your God journeys along in the midst of your camp to deliver you and to give your enemies over to you, your camp must be holy, so that he does not see anything indecent in your midst and turn away from you. You shall not hand over to their master any slaves who have taken refuge with you for their master. Let them live among you in any place they choose in any of your communities that seems good to them. Do not oppress them. There shall be no temple prostitute among the Israelite women, nor a temple prostitute among the Israelite men. You shall not offer a prostitute's fee or a dog's pay as any kind of votive offering in the house of the Lord your God. Both these things are an abomination to the Lord your God. You shall not demand interest from your kindred on a loan of money or of food or of anything else which is loaned from a foreigner. You may demand interest, but you may not demand interest from your kindred, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all your undertakings on the land you are to enter and possess. You may make a vow to the Lord your God. You shall not delay in fulfilling for the Lord your God. You will surely require it of you, and you will be held guilty. Should you refrain from making a vow, you will not be held guilty. But whatever your tongue utters, you must be careful to do, just as you freely vowed to the Lord your God with your own mouth. When you go through your neighbor's vineyard, You may eat as many grapes as you wish until you are satisfied, but do not put them in your basket when you go through your neighbor's grain field. You may pluck some of the ears with your hand, but do not put a sickle to your neighbor's grain. When a man, after marrying a woman, is later displeased with her because he finds in her something indecent, and he writes out a bill of divorce and hands it to her, thus dismissing her from his house, if on leaving his house she goes and becomes the wife of another man, and the second husband too comes to dislike her and writes out a bill of divorce and hands it to her, thus diminishing her from his house, or if a second husband who has married her dies, then the former husband who dismissed her may not again take her as his wife after she has become defiled. That would be an abomination before the Lord, and you shall not bring such guilt upon the land the Lord your God is giving you as a heritage. When a man is newly wed, he shall not go out on a military expedition, nor shall any duty be imposed on him. He shall be exempt for 1 year for the sake of his family, to bring joy to his wife he has married. No one shall take a hand mill or even its upper stone as a pledge for debt, for that would be taking as a pledge the debtor's life. If anyone is caught kidnapping a fellow Israelite, enslaving or selling the victim, that kidnapper shall be put to death. Thus shall you purge the evil from your midst. If an attack of a scaly infection, you shall be careful to observe exactly and to carry out all the instructions the Levitical priests give you, as I have commanded them. Observe them carefully. Remember what the Lord your God did to Miriam on the journey after you left Egypt. When you make a loan of any kind to your neighbor, you shall not enter the neighbor's house to receive the pledge, but you shall wait outside until the person to whom you are making the loan brings the pledge outside to you. If the person is poor, you shall not sleep in the pledge garment, but shall definitely return it as at sunset, so that your neighbor may sleep in the garment and bless you. That will be your justice before the Lord your God. You shall not exploit a poor and needy hired servant, whether one of your own kindred or one of the resident aliens who live in your land within your gates. On each day you shall pay the servant's wages before the sun goes down, since the servant is poor and is counting on them. Otherwise the servant will cry to the Lord against you, and you will be held guilty. Parents shall not be put to death for their children, nor shall children be put to death for their parents. Only for one's own crime shall a person be put to death. You shall not deprive the resident alien or the orphan of justice, nor take the clothing of a widow as a pledge. For remember, you were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you from there. This is why I command you to do this. When you reap a harvest in your field and overlook a sheaf in the field, you shall not go back to get it. Let it be for the resident alien, the orphan, and the widow, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all your undertakings. When you knock down the fruit of your olive trees, you shall not go over the branches a second time. Let what remains be for the resident alien, the orphan, and the widow. When you pick your grapes, you shall not go over the vineyard a second time. Let what remains be for the resident alien, the orphan, and the widow. For remember that you were slaves in the land of Egypt. That is why I command you to do this. This is the word of the Lord.